First of all, everybody, today is a special gathering, as actually tomorrow is the 6-month birthday of the launch and establishment and launch of A.T.U. So we are reaching the first 6 months in operation now, and a lot has happened since September. So in December, on the 21st, at the solstice, we made the public announcements of the establishment, but still since those, now almost 3 months, a lot have happened since then. So this is a gathering and recording for everybody around A.T.U to see what we have been doing, and likewise to people in the public to have access to it, to our Facebook page, to our YouTube, and so on and so on. So today will be, like last time, an overview. We will not go too deep into everything because there would be too much to say, but we will glean over it, and I have used some wonderful diagrams made by Keenan, okay? And for the missing ones, he didn't have made yet, which I needed for this presentation, as I was making it up earlier. I simply used his design to create something similar. So if they look really good, you know it's because Keenan made them. If they look like quite fine, then you know it's ChatGPT who created them. So much gratitude to Keenan for generating a standardized design, which you will see later. This is what you see now, a ChatGPT version. But let's get going. Here is the first slide as a little intro. So I'll start scrolling. So we already touched softly on this, that we are here today because much have been happening since last time. And today we will show more about the institutional architecture of A.T.U, the temple bank system, the academy framework, and the different community structures within A.T.U. So I'll scroll again. So first of all, as most of you know and others have seen, we established A.T.U as an ecclesiastical jurisdiction. And when we did that, we created several organs already, but we have then also created new ones. And one of the main parts is that we created a temple bank, but we have expanded that temple bank now with 4 chambers, which we will go into later. And we have likewise made an academy lodge, a community lodge. And within the academy lodge is placed our Academy of Illumination, which again facilitates 7 faculties aligned with the 7 archetypes, or 7 planetary or celestial body intelligences, whatever we want to call it. Then there are 2 supporting alchemical centers, one aligned to research and one aligned to recalibration. So we usually call them ARCs, ARC, Alchemical Research Center or Alchemical Recalibration Center. And they balance on each side of the 7 faculties. And then the Academy also has a bazaar, where produce creations of members can be put up for other members to acquire and to the public in general. That could be art pieces, books, and so on. So that is something you will see in the future. And besides that, we've been working on a part called Ionic Intelligence Directorate, AID, which we will only softly touch on today, together with the Reserve Directorate and A.T.U R, A.T.U G, and A.T.U T, which are part of the broader and more, global bridge to the global financial system that A.T.U is creating. So as we are moving into blockchain technology, we are already building that architecture to be able to bridge that. And likewise, we will go into the academy and its classes and so on. So here is more like an overview of changes happening since last time. So overall, maybe I should zoom in on this one. This is how the organization is looking at the moment. So at the top, you see the constitutional corpus, and below the ecclesiastical body, and the office of OSHA, the table of 12, jurisdictional seats, and the institutional organs. So this should be very much aligned with what you saw the last time when we presented the public announcements. But this is one of Keenan's creations, and what you see here is as the design will be our standards in the future as we align all our charged and so on with this architecture design. So mainly at this moment, we are operating this whole organization as 4 individuals. But as you know, the vision and mission of what we are doing is to gather a bigger board, which is then composed of 12 ministers, administrating 12 ministries, and then the OSHA as a mediator. So this is merely how we operate it at the moment, just so you have an idea of that. And at the moment, we are operating with 2 different seats. One is the administrative seat, which is located in Florida, United States, which takes care of all IRS or tax related and banking correspondence. And then we have an ecclesiastical seat, which is placed in Aragon, Spain, which hosts our only at this moment embassy, and then the Grand Temple and personage of OSHA. But as we expand, we seek to create embassies and temples all over the world with our members. But that is a process, and it requires individual education and capability. So we rather want to do things correctly rather than push things. So at the moment, we are operating from these 2 locations. So a bit what I was touching on before, we have operational now the Temple Bank and the Academy Lodge and the Community Lodge. And we are in development of fully establishing the AID or Ionic Intelligence Directorate and the Reserve Directorate. And the same, the 3 reserve instruments as you see in the bottom. But I will go in more, a bit more on that as we go along. So now it's more as an overview. So mainly a big change we created or established was creating not only a Temple Bank or bank of the jurisdiction, but we created the bank having 4 chambers. So if you access or get an introduction to A.T.U's banking system from the external, you will most likely find it through our private membership association called Sovereign Wealth Strategy. And we recently published its new website. So in the end, you will have all that official websites and emails and so on. So you can go and test it. It still has some infancy issues. I created it via Wix, which have a new function called Vibe. So it's like creating a website using a ChatGPT, but it doesn't have all the functions we need, and I just realized that that's quite long in the process. So within the next few weeks and month, all the functions needed should be up and running. So at least for now, you can see the purpose, the design of it, what it's meant to do, and test it out. But besides that, there is a trust bank and an investment bank and a sovereign wealth fund. And as you go to the website, you will be able to read more about that. They operate in a constellation. Why we have displayed it like this here. So the Temple Bank is really more of an umbrella term, like A.T.U is for including the Temple Bank. So in this sense, the Temple Bank is the umbrella for the banking system, and that has these 4 chambers, and then it has a reserve directorate, which is overseeing and making sure all the chambers are operating as they're supposed to. And then we are working on something much broader, which is our own digital currency, which we are still in development mode of. We have written quite a lot of documentations for it. Really, we could get it going, but we are reviewing the documents to make sure that what we are building is what we want, and to make everybody, of course, in the board have time to go through it. It's quite technical, so it is a challenge, let's say it like that, for everybody, because there are so many new words to learn and how they work together. Why we will not touch too much on that today. But overall, here is the banking. And as said, you can go into either the A.T.U website or to the Sovereign Wealth Strategy afterwards, and you would be able to read more about these structures. So that was just this little one. Maybe I should not have included that. But that is, as mentioned, we are building on these 3 different kind of crypto tokens. So we have one which is called A.T.U R or reserve, or A.T.U G, which is governance, and a settlement token. So for people who are not into crypto and the financial vocabulary, usually I think it's easiest if we jump over it, and more will be published in the future as we agree internally and start launching these things. So let's move over to something maybe more of relevance for people outside of the jurisdiction. That's in the Academy Lodge is facilitated the Academy of Illumination, which will be the academy both for members within the jurisdiction, but also offering educational material and other services to the public. So the academy is mainly structured with 7 faculties, as mentioned, aligned with the 7 archetypes or planetary spirits, which allows the student to enter and choose from these 7 faculties various classes they wish to study. And there will be study aligned with all the correspondences, or we could say the 7 liberal arts. So it will be a full spectrum of educational path the individual student can partake in. But of course, we wish to facilitate an academy that don't try to specialize individuals into niche groups where they don't understand what's going on around them. So a big part of the academy is to see all these faculties as colors, and as we start to paint, we should master all the colors and not just be master of one color. So it's seeking to guide our students to take courses in each of the faculties and not just one. And at the same time, it then has these 2 centers on each side. The research center more or less gives itself. It's a place we have archives and library, and people can create their own research documents, papers, and they can archive them there. So others who wish to study something similar then have the research papers of prior students. So in that sense, really, we are making accessible our own notes and like refined research. So in that sense, we spare the time for the next one. So over time, it will be easier and easier to pick up new research topics. Besides that, we have a recalibration center, which is more aligned in, we could say, therapeutic or practical exercises. It could be yoga classes, it could be hypnotic classes, it could be mentorships, it could be meditation classes. So these centers are side-by-side hubs, we could also call them, besides the self-driven student who then studies the classes on their own. So all the classes are available, and it's not something you need to be present at a certain time or anything. You just study them when you want to. But then, of course, there are services like a meditation class or something like that, which will then be aligned with a specific time, with a specific teacher or trainer, whatever we call it, in the recalibration center. And at the same, there will be research projects in the Alchemical Research Center, which also engage the members. So the centers are engagement with practitioners, with teachers, and so on. And the 7 faculties is self-study, to say it like the most basic way. And besides that, then we are creating this Academy Bazaar, which is going to be a place where our students and our teachers and in general members of A.T.U are able to put up their creations or offers as something that can reach the public. So over the next month or 2, that is something that you will see, or 2-3 months, being launched with the Academy. So let's go further, showing it in a bit different way. So here you see pretty much the same structure, but we have added, so you see it more from a student's level. So when a student enters from the bottom, they have these 7 faculties, and they have the Alchemical Research Center and the Alchemical Recalibration Center. And the idea is that the individual, as they take their classes through the 7 faculties, they create from each class like a synthesis or a measurement, a sum up of what they learned from that class. And that becomes like a sheet of paper. And for each class the student have completed, they then have this sheet of paper of everything, the most important or essential things they learned in that class from their own perspective. and they collect them those pages into their alchemy journal. So as they move along and study, now over time they generate this bunch of papers, which is only pointing out the essential what they came out of going through that class. So of course they can still access their classes and have it as PDFs, but they have now a stack of like the lessons learned. And that is something that will evolve over time. As the student enters in, there will also, at a certain point, be offered a graduate student guide, actually two, one which is most aligned in their work at that time in the Alchemical Research Center, and one which is aligned with the Alchemical Recalibration Center. So there will be like two mentors who are just one or two steps further on their own educational journey. So that is a big principle within the academy, that we are all on a learning experience. So as we move along and raise ourselves in knowledge, we should also give something back for those who are one of two or three steps behind us. So in that way, there is like a ladder of assisting each other. So as the student gets further in through the academy, then there will at some point be a graduate student, and now there would be a requirement to offer their assistance to one of the new students if they need help with understanding something in the academy. So it functions very much like Freemasonry, which operates the exact same way with two elder brothers. And it's a great way for socializing, for a new student already knowing two individuals, for gatherings and so on. So it has educational purposes and socializing purposes, and in general, like mentorship aligned with it. And then over time, as the individual study classes and they fill up their alchemy journal, now usually our idea is after 1 year of study, the student is now ready to create what we call the alchemy plan, where they will create a 1 year plan or a general plan ahead. But I think we will start with a yearly plan, where they will utilize their newfound knowledge to create this organized, structured plan for the next year of how they want to integrate all these practices, diets, and so on into their life. So in that sense, the student create their own alchemy plan as from the alchemy journal, which is based on all the classes they made. And of course, in this process, they have the graduate student guides to assist them if they need that to create that alchemy plan. But in that sense, the individual utilizes its own knowledge and experience to create a new, like, structural plan for their own life. So I hope that was not too complicated the way I explained that. I think the image should align and show you mainly what we were talking about here. So that is something we are working on at the moment, making a 10-class structure within each faculty. So when we launch it within 2-3 months, each of the faculties will house 10 classes from the start. So there will be 70 classes from the start, and then of course over the years we will create more. So that is of course important for us to have like an idea of how to structure all of this learning curriculums. So we already, when we start, we have a 10-year plan as we already is penning down. So we know exactly how that educational journey will evolve over time and which classes we need to make. But at least then there will be 70 classes when we kickstart it or launch it. So those students who are very ready and in general want to study It's not like they have to wait for new material. They have 70 classes, and we will then put up new classes as we make them. So if we go along, yes, there was just to show the 7 faculties with their names, and you will see them in this structure, which is maybe that's too deep to go into, but that is usually the structure you would see if you look at most ancient spiritual traditions. Most likely, maybe they would make it the other way around, with Mars in the bottom and Saturn in the end, in the top, but the sequence of them being the same. And that is more for the educational part of the academy. So let's just leave it as the visual for now. And then a very important aspect, and what really makes the academy unique, one thing is its whole structure with the faculties, with the 2 arcs on each side, the alchemy journal, the alchemy plan, the 2 graduate student guides or mentors. But you will find that each class is structured the exact same way. So the more classes you start taking, you will get like a grip or better understanding of a sequence, how information or the whole class is presented. And that is really utilizing the 4 elements and the 3 states, fixed, mutable, and cardinal, as a learning mechanism to integrate data into ourselves. So we all know it can be easy to just read something, but a year after, can you retrieve that data? So this structure is being used as a way, which at least we find the most beneficial way of integrating new information. So shortly and in an overview, you will start in earth, soil, or the corpus text, which would present some theoretical information. And then it moves from earth towards water to the fixed phase. And that is, of course, breaking down or collecting the most important. So from earth to fixed, to water, to mutable, to fire, to cardinal, to air would be 7 stages within that class, with different aspects of what is being done in the class. So from earth to water, we move from having read the material to now reflecting upon the class or on the information shared. And then, of course, that could be, let's say, we've been reading about yoga or meditation or astrology. And now we reflect upon that. And now there comes a phase where we need to practicalize or make it practical what we have learned. So from moving from water to fire is first with the green spot, the mutable spot, a video or some sound or some motivational material to bridge the reflection to the practice. So we don't just read and reflect upon things, but we actually start practicing or testing things. So moving from water to fire, we then move into practice, and that could be practicing a meditation form, a yoga form. It could be go out and actually fact check the sky. Is as Western astrology correct, or is sidereal astrology correct? Or rather than looking in books and believing, it's better to test things out. So the fire is the practical aspect. And from that practice, now we can, as we move along, of course, we we get some experience out of that, and that is really the whole aim of each class, that the individual is getting new information and they reflect upon it, they practice it, and in the end they scale it, they measure what they have learned, and by that they find the most essential aspects of the teaching of the class, and that is what they utilize then to write their a document, a page, which is then collected in the alchemy journal. So in that sense, we go from earth to water to fire to air, and this end product is our own experience and our own writing of what we got out of this. And as we move along, we then have all these experiences of and documents of essential learning and experienced practices. So much more could be said about that, but just to keep it basic for now, let's keep it at that. But with overall, the idea is over time that it just becomes very easy for the student. They know the full sequential presentation of the class and what most likely will come in the next stage. So it just becomes an easier and easier sequence to go through, and over time we will really be fast to go through information and filter it and pull out the most important. So it's also a filter of information. So much more will be shared on the Academy website when we get there about the structure. So let's move along. So what we touched on in the last was, of course, the Academy of Illumination within the Academy Lodge. But we also have a community lodge wherein Ionic Synod Alliance is placed, or ASA. So the community lodge is generally a place where the members of A.T.U, meet for social community reasons. And many ways it's also like you could say, if you look at it as a building, it's a place of gathering, of dialogue, sharing philosophy, sharing practices, and so on. At the same time, we really want to be able to engage with the public world as well, because we find that we in A.T.U has quite a lot and extensive know-how and knowledge, but at the same time we know we don't understand and know everything. So with that, we created ASA, which is mainly a think tank, and by that we are able to invite people from the public, either individuals for an interview, or several people for a round table dialogue. And by that, we can share our expertise and we can bring in experts in fields we feel we are not strong in. And by that, we can create round tables and sharing dialogues, discussions about the current state of the world, or where we are going, or whatever needed to be talked about. And by that, invite people that can level the competences we don't have, and at the same time we can share what we have with them. So it's we could say win-win, or it's an equal exchange for everybody involved. And then of course these interviews or roundtable dialogues will be, most of them, recorded and shared on our YouTube channel or in general other channels, so the public can see them as interesting interviews with individuals from outside. And we are working on several collaborative works between the different organs as well. So in the future, you will see that the Ionic Synod Alliance will eventually make a partnership with the Academy of Illumination. So both the Academy and the think tank will align themselves in several projects But that is still a bit too early to speak about, but it's something we're working on, and it will be very interesting. So I'm looking very much forward to that aspect. So let's move to the next slide. And we are about to the end, so I can see I've been quite fast in contrast to what I was expecting. So to speak about membership path, we have two ways, you could say. There is one which I call the pioneer pathway, and then there will be the future standard pathway. So we are working on, of course, having a standardized version for everybody who wants to become a member in A.T.U. But of course, at this moment, we are not a full board, so we cannot operate everything fully yet. So for us, it's very important to get the table of 12, the board, set. So there will be opening for people who already resonate with the base principles of the jurisdiction and have competences that can bring in valuable aspects to the board. So in that sense, it shouldn't be of course, we are willing to open here for everybody who wants to be members, but of course, the main focus is of now to create the full board of 12, and then there will be this general standard pathway, which would be to study through the academy. And as the student go through the academy and create their alchemy plan and start living according to that for a year, then they can, after a year, send in what can we call it, a report of their experience of the academy and now living according to their own created alchemy plan for a year and what they gained out of it. And then they can send that report as a request to become a member. So we now, as the board or community of A.T.U, can see that this individual has done their own work in learning, their own educational advancement, and they also practiced, and not just for a day or a week or a month, but they actually practiced seriously for a year, and they are still interested, and they resonate with what we're doing and living this kind of lifestyle. So it makes it much easier for A.T.U in the future to be open for everybody, but it has requirements. And that requirements is, of course, first of all, you resonate with the manifesto and tenets, the lifestyle of the community. But of course, it can be hard to know if people actually do that or they just say that. So in that sense, there will be these educational programs for the student to be sure they are there and also get there to the state where they can enter in. So in that sense, as we move along, this will be the standard version. But until then, when we don't have the full board, there is this pioneer pathway for people already engaged in the great work of refining and building themselves into the higher stage. So this is pretty much the current state of A.T.U. Very briefly skimmed over, but I didn't want to go too deep. As much more detailed information is already on our website. So this is a follow-up, we could say, phase 2 of what we presented in December on the 21st. So the end here is showing us that we are at this moment and over the next 3 months, we are building the Academy of Alchemination, and we are building within the actually that's something I haven't touched on today. So in the banking Temple Bank, we have this public facing private membership association. Sovereign Wealth Strategy, or SWS. And we just launched a new website. And through that, you should be able to request a consultation. At this moment, that bottom doesn't work, and that is a huge issue that VIX, where we have our website, hasn't fixed. So after this, I will go in and make a note that if you want a consultation, write this email instead. But otherwise, you can go in and check the website, and by becoming a member, or requesting to become a member, you will first have a consultation with oneself and with Broke, where we will speak shortly, 15-20 minutes, about your investment interests, perspectives, and so on. And then we are able to produce what we call a personalized investment strategy blueprint, which is showing a lot of information using publicly accessible PDFs from the World Bank, from Bank of International Settlements, from all major financial institutions and institutions of law. So everything is built on referenceable facts. So really what we do is laying out facts, weaving them together, what it means, and then we show how we have individually invested our own assets. So in that way, the members of SWS then get all this information about where the world is going in relation to the new financial system and how they can position themselves using the same strategy that we have used, really just mirroring it. And by that, reap the benefits of this huge change in the financial system, because most people will not reap it, and maybe 1 to 3% of the world population will really benefit from it. So we really want both our members, but also those around, to have the best tools available for financial freedom. So as we move along with this project, we are now looking into what is called running validator nodes. So that is a term, maybe not something you heard about before, but it's in the new financial system. It's the same as you would call a regional bank branch. So a bank on the corner of the street is in the new financial system called a validator node. They are doing the same function within the financial system. So the next stage of SWS is we are creating educational material for our students. So we will launch a validator node or a bank within the new financial system, and it will allow others to start utilizing that bank at the same time, or that system at the same time as they learn how to do it themselves. So over then the next 1 or 3 years, now they are able to run their own validator node and actually operate a bank in the new financial system. So that will become like a 2-3-year-old education with a few hours every week needed to study to get up to a certain level. So everybody has a possibility to get there, and that will allow the individual, like what you see a bank office on a street, for yourself to run a bank like that in the new financial system. That is something we will share much more information about over the next 2-3 months. So please just stand by and await with that. And then the same with our educational and technological infrastructure. So those 3 aspects are the main focus at the moment. And besides that, we created quite a lot of presence in the digital space. So to the left, you see the official A.T.U channels, the website, the Facebook group, the LinkedIn profile, and the emails to the board members. And please don't spam. If you have general questions, be free to send them to Osha at atu.world. Also to secretary, but in general, it's not for public use. It was more as we go along, just stating them here. Besides that, we have the sovereign wealth strategy, official sources, the website, also Facebook group, LinkedIn, and email. And also, for some reason, the X profile ended up on the email, but we also have an X, or the old, what was called Twitter profile, called SWS_of_ATU. So be most welcome to go in and follow those channels if you're not already. I'm seeing, of course, our Facebook groups are at this moment our biggest communities. But as we start moving into especially the technological infrastructure, we're going to use LinkedIn much more to link up with individuals outside of A.T.U who can bridge in and help us build certain things which we don't have the capabilities for. So like job offers to like development team of building A.T.U will be launched through LinkedIn, but of course we will show or post these things in the Facebook, in the website, and on X profiles as well. And then the X profile is mainly just for small gimmicks posts on X to gain public awareness of SWS. So please feel free to follow all of them. And at the same, as I mentioned earlier, for consultations at Sovereign Wealth Strategy, the consultation button on the website doesn't function at the moment. But I have been promised by the development team at VIX that it should be within a month. So until then, please, if you are interested in speaking with us and want a consultation, then use the email listed there, blueprint@sovereignwealthstrategy.space, and we will turn shortly after. So this is really all the slides. So we almost been here for an hour, so actually that aligned quite well. So let me close down the slides, and we will take heed of the time now, because then let's move into what we call the Q&A. And in the Q&A, let's just cut that out of the official video we launch on the YouTube and on Facebook. So you can all feel free to ask whatever you want related to this without it getting into the public.